Every heartbeat is a message from life itself. It's a whisper that says, I'm still here, I'm alive. Most of us think of the heart as an organ, a pump that moves blood. But the truth is, your heart is far more than that. It's the center of your emotions, your relationships, and your spirit. I'm Siraj, and this is the Wyrd Ways, where science, mysticism, and the sacred meet. Today we explore something both ancient and urgently modern, the idea that a large dose of love can keep your heart healthy. We live in an age where heart health is a prime concern. The right diet, the right medication, the perfect exercise plan. And yet, heart disease remains the number one killer on the planet. But there's another quite a epidemic, loneliness. A recent study found that chronic loneliness increases the risk of heart disease as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15. Yes, we need to take care of our diets, we need to stay fit, we need to take medication when required, but there is one more thing that is equally important that we need to consider. It's not just our arteries that can get clogged, it's our connections. Because our conversations have become text messages and our affection, emojis. Our hearts are overworked and underloved. Dr. Jonathan Fisher, a cardiologist and mindfulness teacher, has seen this from both sides of the stethoscope. He cared for thousands of patients with damaged hearts until he realized one day that his own was silently breaking from stress and disconnection. That realization changed everything for him. He began to ask a deeper question. What if healing the heart means more than fixing the pump? In his book, Just One Heart, cardiologist Dr. Jonathan Fisher reminds us that our heart isn't just a biological pump. It's the meeting place of our physical body, our emotions, our relationships, and our spirit. He names love as one of the most powerful heart wakers that awaken vitality in the four dimensions of our being. Today on Wyrd Ways, we're exploring what if a large dose of love were the best prescription for our heart, not only for its physical health, but for its emotional depth, its social connectedness, its spiritual wholeness. The spiritual heart is obvious, the one that beats inside your chest. The emotional heart is where love, grief, fear, and joy rise and fall like tides. The social heart connects us to one another through kindness, touch, and belonging. And the spiritual heart is the seat of meaning, the part of us that senses we are more than flesh and bone. When one of these dimensions suffers, the others feel the strain. And when love flows through all four, the whole being heals. Now, Dr. Fisher says there are two kinds of forces that shape our heart, heartbreakers and heartwakers. Heartbreakers are things like anger, resentment, and isolation. Heartwakers are gratitude, compassion, courage, and purpose. Every day, each of us have to choose which to feed. He calls it the science of love. This may sound poetic, but science agrees. In the lab, researchers have actually seen the difference between a stressed heart and a loving one. When you feel anger or fear, your heart rhythm becomes jagged and chaotic. Scientists call it incoherence. But when you feel love, gratitude, or compassion, Your heart's rhythm smooths out, waves become steady and synchronized. Your brain calms down, your blood pressure drops, your immune system strengthens, your body literally comes into harmony. Love brings the body into coherence, and coherence brings health. You could have experienced this in your own lives. When you feel love, you feel good, your heart beats in the rhythm of love. I once met an elderly man during my travels, and when we got talking, he said he was a volunteer at a children's home and lived a happy life. He said it wasn't always like that. Years back, when his wife passed away, he had lost all reason for living. He was heartbroken. He was lost, depressed, and he had a heart attack. But I survived, he told me with a smile. And he said that's when he started volunteering at a children's home. And he felt alive again because he found a reason to live. What that elderly man didn't know was that by sharing love, he was lowering his stress hormones, improving his circulation, and probably lengthening his life. Love, in its simplest form, had become his medicine. You know, the mystics have always known what modern science is rediscovering today. The Gnostics, the Sufis, the Tantric, all taught that the heart is the true temple of the divine. In the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Philip, it says, those who truly love have been resurrected from the dead while they are still alive. When we love deeply, something in us awakens, not just emotionally but spiritually. The energy that flows through the physical heart is the same energy mystics call spirit or Christ light or divine breath. Mary Magdalene spoke of this in her gospel. Light as the fire of love that unites heaven and earth. It's the same love that Yeshua embodied, fierce, compassionate, and unconditional. When you act from love, you're not just being nice, you're aligning your biology with the sacred. You're bringing body, mind, and soul into one rhythm, just one heart. So how do we take this large dose of love every day? Not as a grand gesture, but a small, steady medicine. 1. Begin with presence. Take a few deep breaths and place your hand over your heart. Feel it beating. Thank it for working tirelessly, even when you forget it's there. This simple act reduces stress hormones and increases heart coherence within seconds. 2. Practice gratitude. Each morning, think of 3 people or moments in your life that make your heart feel warm. Research shows that daily gratitude practices improve sleep, immunity, and blood pressure. 3. Connect. Reach out to someone, not by text, but with your voice or a touch. A genuine hug releases oxytocin, lowers cortisol, and reminds both hearts are not alone. 4. Be kind to yourself. Dr. Fisher often tells his patients, you can't heal the heart if you keep wounding it with your own words. Self-compassion is not indulgence, it's repair work. So be kind to yourself. 5th, find purpose. Love is not only about affection, it's about meaning. When you serve, create, or care, your heart recognizes its reason for beating. These are small things, but love always begins small. A word, a touch, a smile, a silent prayer whispered from one heart to another. There's a story from the ICU that Dr. Fisher once shared in his book. A patient unconscious after surgery had a nurse who would hold his hand every night before leaving her shift. Weeks later, when the man recovered, he said, "I don't remember much except that someone held my hand when I was drifting away." The nurse smiled and said, "That was me." He replied, "Then maybe that's why I didn't drift too far." That's the power of love, unseen, unmeasured, but deeply healing. Sometimes a touch carries more medicine than any drug. As Dr. Fisher writes, there is not your heart and my heart. There is just one heart beating through all of us. When we remember this, the boundaries between science and spirit, between self and others, they began to fade. Every heartbeat becomes a prayer. Every act of love, medicine. So here's your prescription. Each day, every day, give and receive one large dose of love. It costs nothing, requires no prescription, and has no side effects, except joy, peace, and maybe a longer life. Your heart is not a machine, it's a messenger. It speaks in pulses of love to remind you that you're alive, you're connected, and you're loved. Take that in, let it beat through you. And remember, one heart, one love, one life. I'm Siraj, and this is the Wyrd Ways. Until next time, keep your heart open and let love do its work. Thank you.